Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the HM Digital TDS-3 Digital TDS Meter. Now, there's a very specific reason why I chose the TDS-3 and not a lower end model or from a different brand. You see, when you use these digital meters, temperature can affect the results. So, you need a TDS meter that can compensate for temperature differences. This model is able to do that, which means it's much more accurate. So when you're dealing with, in my case, fish tanks, I want to know things as accurately as possible because it could mean the life or the death of my little aquatic buddies. So that's why I have it. Now, I also read my general hardness and carbonate hardness with liquid tests from API, but this gives us kind of a more broad scope as to the, well, total dissolved solids in the water. See, I use this particularly with my shrimp tanks. You know, with any fish tank, you got your filter converting ammonia to nitrites and from nitrites to nitrates, and then we have plants to suck up the nitrates, and that reduces a lot of the toxicity. But as you keep feeding your little buddies, solids will dissolve the more food and whatnot you add into the water, and eventually the total dissolved solids will get too high and will make the shrimp very uncomfortable and possibly even die. So a lot of aquarists who breed shrimp don't change water based on a weekly schedule. They do it based on readings like TDS, because little shrimps like Neos can be really sensitive to water changes, and they really don't like you to change the water unless you absolutely have to. Otherwise, they may end up passing away from various reasons. So we try to minimize any discomfort for them by using these tools. Now, this tool is really easy to use, honestly. All you got to do is press the on button, dip it in the water for 10 seconds, and you press hold and you're able to pull it out, and it'll keep the number on the screen. And also, it's able to measure temperature, which you can also press hold and it measures temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit. The TDS is displayed in parts per million. Now, the TDS-3 here does come with a little few accessories. Comes with this leather carrying case with a strap to keep it on you, and of course the instructions on the inside. It doesn't come with anything to calibrate the meter, but it does tell you what to calibrate it with. You have to look in the periodic table of elements to see exactly what that particular combination is, and it does come factory calibrated, so it should be ready to go right out of the box. Let's go ahead and try it out. I'm going to try it on two different tanks, and you're going to see a difference, and I'll go over that in just a moment. Right here you'll see we have two little electrodes and a third little probe in there, and this is what's going to be helping us detect whatever is in the water. So we got my main 40-gallon tank here, and I just have guppies and a variety of other species, and I use the hard water line for these fish. In fact, I use the hard water line for all my little creatures because they all require hard water. These are live bearing fish, so they do much better in hard water. So I keep an eye on that. And we're going to do this really quick. We're just going to press the on button. And you see it's at 0 because it's not dipped. And we're going to put this in the water just about there and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Press hold, and as you can see, we took it out, and the hold button allows us to keep an eye on it. 852 parts per million in total dissolved solids, and that might sound high to a lot of you, and for a lot of fish that would be high, but the snails, the shrimp, and the fish here are all hard water fish, snails and shrimp, so they need it hard. Okay, so let's talk about the other function. We're going to unpress hold, we're going to press temperature, and that gets us Celsius. You see it's blinking a C. We want Fahrenheit, so do that. We put it in there, and it'll adjust. You just wait a few seconds just like you did for the TDS. and hold. We got 74.2, and it's nice to have a second device telling me the temperature, because if I look at my actual digital thermometer, it says 72 degrees, and this makes complete sense because the little node at the bottom end of the wire on my aquarium temperature thermometer is at the bottom of the tank, and this was taken at the top of the tank, and as we know, heat rises, therefore the colder part of the water will be lower near the bottom of the tank. So we have that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer over to one of my 10 gallons here, and no, we're not going to decontaminate this first by rinsing it out in distilled water and what have you. And normally you would want to do that, but in this case, this tank, there's nothing really in here to worry about. This is kind of just a tank that I'm not even sure I'm going to do anything with yet, or what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to do something with it, but I don't know what. So we're going to press hold to get that out of there, and we go back to parts per million for TDS. And if we dip it in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You'll see that the TDS is 979. That is significantly higher than the tank we were just in, even though the water source is the exact same water source, and water changes on this tank and the tank we just tested are done at the same time, so you might be wondering, why is there such a big difference? The main difference is the driftwood. Driftwood naturally lowers the hardness of the water, and subsequently that will reflect in the total dissolved solids as well. And this tank doesn't have any equipment in there to do that. So that's why we got a completely different reading. Now we're just going to click hold and then take it off, and we're going to turn it off. So that's pretty much it with this little thing. It's really accurate, and if you're wondering, well, it's only got 3 little numbers to display. What if it's over 1,000? Don't worry, they've thought of that. Although it didn't read above 1,000, if it was over 1,000, there would be a little thing in the top corner here that would say times 10, and you would get a reading and multiply that by 10, and that would be your reading. So it can read all the way up to, I believe, 9,999 parts per million, all the way down to 0. Ideally, you would want a little bit of distilled water, which is less than $1 at Walmart, and you would want to swish it around in distilled water before you go from tank to tank to prevent cross-contamination. But in this case, that wasn't really necessary. As you saw, one tank was pretty much empty and the other tank was doing just fine. So that's the TDS-3, well, TDS meter. Do I like it? Yeah, I think this is a really good meter. It's been very accurate for me. It's never read wrong for me as far as I know. And I've never needed to calibrate it. I've had it for maybe about a month now. And it's really nice because it allows me to keep my shrimp happy by minimizing the amount of water changes that I do to only when it's actually necessary. That makes them happy, and it helps me keep my live-bearing fish, which also need hard water, nice and happy. And everyone benefits from the data. And because it's so quick to get the data, we can stop testing and start monitoring. That's a big thing. That's what I said about my digital pH meter. Because normally, we aquarists have to use like a liquid water test if we want something accurate to determine things like pH and general hardness and carbonate hardness. It's a tedious process, and this really removes the hassle of, getting the information that we need. Now, TDS doesn't tell you everything you need to know, but it is a big part of what you do need to know in certain applications. Now, I've only talked about this in terms of aquariums because that's what I use it for. There are other reasons to have a TDS meter, but this is as far as it goes for my experiences. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. If it was, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends, check out my other videos. I've got plenty of them, and as always, I will see you next time. Stay fishy.